Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Turin here with another Warhammer Total War online commentary. In this particular battle, and more specifically team battle, so this is actually a 2v2. I will be playing the Warriors of Chaos, and my ally Bart Fitzgerald over here will indeed be playing the spooky, scary vampire counts with a massive horde of crypt ghouls, which will definitely be fun to see in action. So as far as our opponents goes, we got the Crooked Moon, we got the Greenskins over here, led by Skarsnik, and then we actually have Bretonnia, who decided to hide in the forest. So we tried to get you a good versus evil, or kind of a thematic matchup, but it's really hard to do in these pug games. A lot of people don't want to switch off the factions they're playing, ourselves included, so I can completely understand that. So as far as my army composition goes, we are indeed playing a very low armored kind of enemy composition. So again, we're going to see a lot of goblins probably from the Greenskins players, and then of course Bretonnian infantry, as you guys know, are very, very squishy. So I have a front line of Chaos Warriors. You don't really need heavy duty armor piercing. These guys have pretty heavy armor with 100. They're shielded, good leadership, all around good unit against, you know, both of these factions. So I think it's a relatively well balanced choice. We also have 3 aspiring champions here. We have 2 groups of Forsaken, which are just MVPs in this matchup. When you get a group of Forsaken on goblins or Bretonnian infantry, if you can avoid having them cut down by missile fire beforehand, these guys are just absolute linebackers. If you look at their buffed weapon strength right now, it's actually 64, which is pretty darn incredible. So these units, again, are essentially glass cannons, but if you can get them in the right place at the right time, there are a few units that can match them in regards to their ideal matchups. So we do have Chaos Warhounds back here, and then of course I have the full suit of the Chaos Goon Squad in the air with the Chaos Sword with his potions, Chaos Sorcerer with fire, and then 3 Matscores. My ally Bard over here, he has the Stearnsman, very, very good choice. He also has Graveguard here, and then he has a multitude of different fodder units with Skeleton Spearmen, which aren't a bad choice against, Orc Boars and Bretonnian Air Harass. It's definitely not bad at all. And then he, is actually teaching me the ways of Crypt Ghouls against Bretonnia and low-tier Goblins. They're actually not bad. They have 38 weapon damage, pretty decent stats across board, but they do cause fear, I believe, and they do have poison, so it'll be interesting to see these guys in action. They are weak against armor, but in this particular matchup, considering we're playing the Crooked Moon as well as Bretonnia, we'll see how they do. I'm interested. So we got Vlad von Karstein here. We got a vampire here with, looks like she has some Lore of Death ability, so Spirit Leech and Doom and Darkness and all that kind of fun stuff, which will be pretty good at routing off low-tier infantry. He's got some Fellbats here, and then off in the distance, he's got some Direwolves coming in from the flank. So as far as our opponent's forces, he's got some Grail Knights hidden in the forest over here. He's got a front line kind of mixture of Biggins, so he actually didn't bring too many Goblins, but he does have some. So he's got some Biggins here. He's got some Black Orcs. He's got Night Goblins here. Is this a Regiment of Renown? I'm not sure if it is. Yeah, no, it just looks like regular Night Goblins. So no, that's got to be a Regiment of Renown. Isn't that symbol indicative of that? Anyways, we got Black Orcs. We got Orc Biggins here. We got Nasty Skulkers. We got some more Nasty Skulkers here. So pretty good against both Chaos. And I guess it's supposed it's good against vampire counts, but not so much against Bart's army with all those crypt ghouls. But if they are able to get on the Stearnsmen, they'll do a decent job. He's got a Night Goblin Shaman back here, Skarsnik, more Skulkers, and then he's got Malgrub's Mangy Marauders. These guys are pretty cool. 92 move speed and armor-piercing missiles, which is actually pretty decent against both of us. And he does have the Ragnarok Spider back here, so pretty cool army composition from our opponent there. Then over here, this guy has multitude of Spearmen at Arms with shields. He's got some Pegasus Knights. It looks like he has, they actually put some Goblin Rock Lobbers over here hidden from the main array as well. And then I'm trying to see, yeah, so it looks like he has a front line of Peasant Bowmen. This kind of helps and hurts them because marching through, I have a pretty good angle to just march through with my Warriors of Chaos right through this tree line, and that'll mitigate a lot of the damage from those Peasant Bowmen. So tough situation there. When he has Grail Knights over here, I think. So in total, he actually has 2 Grail Knights and Pegasus Knights, so that's extremely expensive. And then he also has King Lewin, of course, and then some Paladins and other fun business in the air. So without further ado, let's get right into this awesome 2 vs 2 battle. So we're advancing up the hill, and thankfully those Goblin Rock Lobbers are probably slightly obstructed by the tree line, but also they're just now getting line of sight as we come up the hill. And we do have this nice little tree line here, so the only space we're going to have to march through for the kind of open firing season here is going to be this little terrain right here. So it's a short window of opportunity for our opponents. Bart's forces are advancing up the hill as well, and he has a nice little straight line here, but the Greenskin player here doesn't have a ton of missile troops, so hopefully Bart's forces and his Crypt Ghouls, which are very, very weak against missile fire, won't be punished by that, and he should be able to do pretty well. I also forgot to mention earlier, he does have the Corpse Cart with the Unholy Lodestone, which is the reason why these guys have higher combat stats, and it's pretty good if you can keep it alive. But again, like the Mortis Engine, it's one of those units that gets punished heavily by focus fire. But thankfully, this Greenskin player has mostly infantry that will definitely be affected heavily by the poison and whatnot, so very, very awesome situation there for us. Over here, it looks like the Fellbats, we sent them in to scout because, again, we didn't know what was going on in this forest. All we saw was the Greenskin players, so we decided to just send the Fellbats. That'd be cool if they were Fellbats, but they are not. So we sent the Fellbats in there to kind of see what was going on, so I knew what I was marching into, and we quickly realized it was a very heavily armed Bretonnian contingent in here with some Pegasus Knights and all this kind of scary stuff going on. But thankfully, this tree cover is going to be huge for sure. So you can see the Warriors of Chaos are coming into the forest, not fully knowing what they're getting themselves into, but hopefully it won't be too bad for them. And again, they're probably not that scared of these Bretonnian peasants. So he does have the Pegasus Knights here, and I think let's go ahead and see if those rock lobbers are shooting. They're probably not. It was definitely a bit of odd positioning, but it doesn't look like they're shooting right now. They're kind of just chilling. So maybe they're waiting to see the whites in the eyes of my Warriors of Chaos. But they will be shooting shortly, I'm sure, and we'll hopefully make some good contact for their sake. But the Warriors of Chaos are advancing up through the forest here. You can see I did decide to keep the Poison Warhounds with my army, because in case he did land with the heroic units or, landed some high-value cav, I wanted to be able to poison them and then allow my other infantry to kind of envelop them. So that was kind of my plan there. So at the same time, you can see the Greenskins are kind of repositioning here right as the Vampire Counts come through the forest. And I do detach a group of Forsaken over here to kind of go after these Big Guns, because Big Guns are pretty strong, but Forsaken are so good against them. They hit so freaking hard, but you think Big Guns have a lot of weapon strength at 46? These guys have, right now, they have 64 with these buffs, so if they're able to get on them and get that huge charge bonus of 40, it's going to be a good situation. So I detach those to help Bart's forces out, and then the rest of my troops are going to march right through the forest into these Bretonnian forces. So it looks like the Greenskin player is trying to kind of make us overextend a little bit. I'm not sure quite why he was backing up, but I think he wanted to get more in line with his Bretonnian ally instead of kind of being engaged up here and being separated. So right now they can kind of flow from here to here and help one another out. So definitely a good situation. But my Forsaken got a little overzealous, but you're going to see they're going to get in here. They're going to get that charge bonus, and they're definitely going to hit like trucks. So let's go ahead and see about the initial damage. So yeah, it did quite a bit of damage. You can see these Big Guns are taking a ton of HP damage, but so are the Forsaken, down to 58 models. But these guys are taking substantially more damage. So definitely a good situation in that initial trade. And the Vampire Counts forces are indeed advancing. They're kind of posturing up, waiting for the corpse cart, which is very slow. It actually has 23 speed, so you need to wait for it in a lot of situations before you engage. In the forest, the Warriors of Chaos have gone to battle, and I always like zooming in on these battles, like in the tight forest like this. It definitely looks really cool. Reminds me of Gladiator and whatnot, and that snow scene. So the Chaos Warriors here are doing a pretty good job, and they're fighting, peasants with spears, so it's definitely going to be a very bad situation for these peasants. And over here, the Aspiring Champs have kind of gotten into the mix, and Aspiring Champions are also very good against Bretonnia. They have nice flash damage and are definitely scary and will help at routing these guys off, who are already steady. But still, they have pretty good defense for how cheap they are. Their melee defense is close to 40, which is pretty good, especially against, just kind of these shielded infantry who aren't designed just for pure punishment. But again, like a group of Forsaken, and I'm not sure, are those Goblin Rock Lobbers just shooting into the backs of these peasants here? I think that's what's going on, but definitely a very pitched battle in the forest. Let's go ahead and find out what's going on with the Bretonnian Air Force. I think they're flying around somewhere over here, but regardless, the Vampire Counts have indeed engaged in the front line, and you can see these Black Orcs here. They're engaged with the Crypt Ghouls and other units like that, and I believe they are poisoned, but he is using the Wa to give them 93 melee attack, but still they're fighting skeletons and fodder mostly, so very well played here, kind of integrating fodder with your damage dealers, which is a very, very good pick. For example, if you have goblins mixed in with Big Ends or Black Orcs to kind of have that supplemental shield so your damage dealers aren't taking the beating, but these Crypt Ghouls are somewhat resilient, and again, Black Orcs are not designed to fight these type of units, so it's a very pitched battle here. You can see Skarsnik in here is getting down and dirty. He's got Gobbler there, probably eating some skeletons and getting down, so definitely a fun situation, though. Skarsnik is a little better suited at fighting like large units, and his leadership is actually steady already, so that's definitely not a great situation. So let's go ahead and zoom up here, and I think back here we actually had an Air Force battle, and my apologies for not showing you, but King Lewin fought my Chaos Sword and my Manticores, and I think we traded relatively evenly, and I did use my potion, and I believe King Lewin may have died. I'm not 100% sure, but he does have a Paladin here, or I might have had to run, I can't recall. But he does have the Pegasus Knights and other troops here, but the forest battle is still continuing to go on, but a lot of the peasants, and that's the one issue, if you invest in 2 Grail Knights and then 2 groups of, what are those things called? 2 Grail Knights and Pegasus Knights, you're going to, kind of struggle in terms of your infantry corps. So you can see the Warriors of Chaos have broken the main lines of the Bretonnian Peasant Corps, and they're doing a pretty good job of just running shop right now. But some Grail Knights did come in, but that's what actually happened, is the Grail Knights came in, and I was able to jump them with my Air Force, and then King Lewin came to support. So the Forsaken in here are just going fisticuffs. You can see the Goblin Lobber crews are definitely not happy about the situation, but he still does have a pocket of resistance over here in this part of the forest. He landed his Pegasus Knights to help out, and he's doing pretty well. My Chaos Warriors here are actually shaken, so very, very pitched battle. Definitely a fun one in the snowy forest, but you can see this particular flank over here just collapsed, and then this huge chaos horde is just coming through the forest to collapse the last of the peasant horde. This paladin is fighting valiantly. You can see he's kind of bolstering the morale of the peasants with his encouragement, but still having this manticore in here that causes terror. He was actually able to break it, so very well played, but having these Forsaken and Aspiring Champions come in is going to be very tough for our opponent here, but he does have the support of the Morgrubb's Mangy Marauders, who were shooting at my troops, and some Peasant Bowmen over here are kind of unscathed, and they're actually getting a pretty decent angle shooting into the side of my troops here. And also those Pegasus Knights are coming back, so never count your opponents out there, but I do have the Chaos Sorcerer with the Lore of Fire coming back and some other troops, and they're definitely going to go after this Paladin here, so this Paladin is definitely not happy about this situation. And yeah, you can see King Lewin actually did die in that engagement a little bit earlier, so very wild stuff going on over there. Over here in this particular battle, it's still a very pitched battle. The Black Orcs, even when they're not in an ideal situation, they're just such a strong unit, and they are immune to psychology, which is really nice. So the Black Orcs are kind of fighting against these Crypt Ghouls who are being afflicted with the Itchy Nuisance to lower their weapon damage and melee attack, and a lot of them are crumbling, but still it's a very close battle. These Black Orcs themselves are shaken, and also the Bretonnian player did have some Grail Knights. This is where they must have came, because I know there was two groups of Grail Knights. One of them got killed right away by my Manticores and my Goon Squad, but the other one definitely was able to run shop. So Bart getting 2 versus 1 a little bit over here, but still, hopefully, my troops in the forest can come over and help here in a moment. But still, the Vampire Count's forces are holding up really well. He still has a White King here. It looks like he has some his Corpse Guard's still in pretty good shape. He's got some healthy Crypt Ghouls back here, and the Sternsmen are able to chase off these Biggins. So definitely a good situation here, and the Sternsmen are just such a force to be reckoned with. I'm definitely one of the most cost-effective infantry in the game, especially against like Biggins, because the Sternsmen, their regeneration will mitigate a lot of the damage, and at the same time, they have 90 armor with 30 melee attack and 47 melee defense, so pretty incredible. And also having 38 weapon strength is not bad at all. So when they come back and get on these Grail Knights here, it should be a pretty good situation for us. But the Grail Knights were able to get on this Corpse Guard here, and definitely will do some good damage to it. Corpse Guards are not the sturdiest unit, although they do have 45 armor, so I guess they're not completely unarmored, but you can see the Necromancer up there, or whatever he is. He's definitely not happy. He's whipping that guy on the horse. I love that. It's pretty ringing his bell in anger. So over here, the Black Orcs were able to win this frontline engagement, and they'll be pushing forward here momentarily, I'm sure. So let's go ahead and head back over to the jungle engagement. So you can see a lot of the Bretonnian peasantry is routed off, and my lord actually got punished too. So he was trying to run, and my opponent was using his paladin to chase him, but thankfully my Goon Squad was able to come help him out. But unfortunately, he does indeed break, so there's a bad situation there. And I think it was because the Rusty Arrows and some of these peasant bowmen were shooting at him, and I couldn't see these darn guys. They are night goblins, so they are going to be hidden, but thankfully the Manticores are going to come down and chase these guys off, and definitely will have a feast. So yeah, the Rusty Arrows are definitely such a good unit. Just so they're hidden for one thing, so you don't account for them in the initial engagement. They're very good at focus firing lords, and then the other units will come and supplement. But you can see these Bretonnian troops here are actually still kind of teaming up with these Gobos here, and they're doing a pretty good job actually. Standing their ground even though their lord's dead. So Bretonnia is one of those factions that's hit really hard by having your lord die, and I'm surprised they've lasted this long in this particular engagement. So the Warriors of Chaos from the initial forest battle, you can see how beat up I was. That was a really close battle, but the Aspiring Champs have come to the aid. And again, Bart was getting 2 versus 1 by these Grail Knights and other troops like that. And despite all that, he's still holding the line very well. So the Forsaken and Chaos Warriors come on the flank of these Black Orcs over here. And I didn't bring a ton of armor piercing. This is definitely going to be a tough situation, but hopefully my Manticores and other troops can come over. And still Forsaken have really high weapon damage, so hopefully they can still get through and do a bit of damage, especially with the support of the Aspiring Champs. So are these guys actually routing off already? Yeah, it looks like they are breaking. So those Black Orcs are just putting in mad work this game. But thankfully there still are some troops coming, and of course the Manticores and the other Goon Squad is still in good shape. But Bretonnia, if they're able to kind of rally their forces, but I think the leadership is so low, a lot of them are already shaken, so if there's any more army losses, they're probably just going to be out of the game. But the Manticores do come over and are going to jump on these Grail Knights here and hopefully put up a pretty good fight. And these Grail Knights, yeah, you can see they get trampled a little bit, but oh yeah, we did get a Flaming Sword of Ruin there as well, which is pretty big because the Sternsmen were also engaged. And I think that did indeed break those guys, because the Bretonnian player was definitely starting to suffer from army losses. The Arachnarok Spider does also shatter, and I think Skarsnik had died, and the opponents having lost both their lords, most of the forces are just shattering from army losses at this point. So very well played battle. It was very fun, kind of wild all over the place. And again, my apologies if I couldn't show you all the cool engagements. There's always so much going on, and I wish I could just have this like alert that let me know that King Lewin is fighting my lord or other things like that, because I know there were some cool engagements in that respect. But the Aspiring Champs did pretty well. Chaos Warriors, they did their job. They took the arrow fire, and they were just kind of a sturdy front line. Forsaken did good. This one group got dumpstered a little bit. I think the Bretonnian player was able to focus them a lot with their missile troops. Manticore is always a good choice. And the Chaos Warhounds, I just had 500 resources left and wanted to get something out of them. So As far as Bart's troop go, you can see the Crypt Ghouls. They're fighting very heavily armored troops, but still 53 kills, 27 here, not bad at all. Stern's men, and these guys did pretty darn good. And also, of course, Vlad, look at his health. So this was a big determining factor, is that Skarsnik as well as King Lewin here, they both died very early on in the battle. And both of our lords were, I basically lost my lord. But, the fact that Bart had his lord over there causing fear and just that perpetual threat was really, really big. Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't get too many good shots of Vlad either, but as far as our opponent's forces go, the Nasty Skulkers, they actually racked up 100 kills. Granted, they were fighting a lot of fodder units over there, I think. But these other troops, look at the kills on these guys. God, that is incredible. But again, you also have to take that with a grain of salt because they were fighting a lot of skeletons and troops like that. The Spider did pretty good. The Morgrum's Magi Marauders, I actually didn't notice them too much, but they were doing a pretty good job with their armor-piercing missiles. I know they were shooting at my Aspiring Champs for a while. And the Rusty Errors, unfortunately, did get dumpstered a little bit by the Manticores, and having them over there in the tree line was a little bit risky. But, again, they were obstructed in many ways, but still, they were a threat for sure. The Bretonnian player, the Peasant line held pretty well. His Grail Knights also didn't do bad. I mean, this group, this was the one right here that got pretty much dumpstered right away by my Manticore squad, as well as some Forsaken. I believe it was something else. And but they still racked up 50 kills despite that, and this other one was definitely a threat. So very well played to our two opponents. Hopefully we'll run into you guys again, and hope you guys enjoyed that team battle. I'm going to try and do more. Definitely a lot of fun to do. Sometimes I just log on at like 3 in the morning and just join random pug games and play, and I'll definitely try and cast some of those. So maybe if you guys are on late, you'll see me in the game. So thanks again for watching, guys. Have an excellent night, and take care.